My wife texted, "I want a divorce." All communication through my lawyer. I replied, "Understood." Then I canceled her credit cards and cut off all financial support. 72 hours later, her lawyer was frantically trying to reach me. "Hey," read it. The message came in at 6:14 p.m., right as I was locking up my office, right when everything felt normal for the last time. My phone buzzed twice with that sharp vibration that jolts you when you know something's off before you even read it. I looked down at the screen. "I want a divorce." All communication through my lawyer. Do not contact me directly. I stared at the message for a long moment, the cold winter air settling around me like an unwanted heavy coat. Divorce. We had our issues, sure. She had been distant, emotionally checked out for months before this moment, but this level of finality delivered via text felt like a knife. I typed back just one word. Understood. No questions, no negotiations, no pleading. If she wanted to be professional, fine. I could be professional too. I walked to my car slowly, my mind racing through every argument, every cold night, every attempt I made to bridge the gap. She kept widening. She had also been pulling away financially, refusing to work, insisting on self-care while depending entirely on my income. I covered rent, utilities, her shopping sprees, spa days, gym memberships, subscriptions, and even the credit card she maxed out regularly. There had been signs, sure, but I never expected this. A text message cutting off all communication, a silent grenade thrown into our 12-year marriage. I got into the car, put the keys in the ignition, and just sat there. If she wanted distance, I would give it to her. If she wanted lawyers, then lawyers it would be. But it also meant something else. If she wanted to be financially independent, then she could be. When I got home, the house felt unfamiliar, as if it belonged to someone else. Her perfume lingered in the hallway. Her coat still hung on the hook, and her half-full water bottle sat on the counter. But I knew she wouldn't be back tonight. She had likely moved into a hotel with her friend. The same friend who always claimed I didn't appreciate her enough. The one who seemed too eager to watch our marriage fall apart. I went in my office, opened my laptop, and logged into our financial accounts. I canceled the joint credit cards, closed her personal credit card that I paid for every month, disconnected her digital wallet that auto-deducted from my account, and terminated her gym membership. I cut off her Spotify, Netflix, and Amazon subscriptions as well. Her car insurance that I covered, removed. I hesitated for a moment, hovering over our joint bank account. I didn't drain it. I wasn't cruel. I simply split it in half. Nothing more, nothing less. She got her 50%, and I kept mine. Fair. Then I logged into payroll and stopped a monthly allowance I deposited into her personal account, the one she used for shopping sprees, brunches, and day trips. It took 15 minutes to sever 12 years of financial dependency, not out of spite, but because she asked me to. All communication through my lawyer meant she no longer wanted to talk to me. It also meant she no longer required my support. Exactly 18 minutes after processing the cancellations, my phone lit up. She was calling. So much for no direct contact. I didn't answer. She texted, "Why did you block my cards?" I didn't reply. "Are you serious?" "I'm at dinner. They said the card was declined." I stayed silent. She called again, but I didn't pick up. If she wanted her lawyer, then she could communicate through her lawyer. I set my phone face down, and for the first time in a long while, I felt calm. The next 3 days were quiet, too quiet, until noon on the third day when an unknown number rang my phone. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again. The same number. After the fourth time, I finally picked up. A frantic voice burst through the speaker. "Mr. Dawson, this is Attorney Clean, your wife's counsel. We need to talk immediately." I leaned back in my chair. I was told all communication goes through lawyers. I replied calmly, "So you're doing exactly what you wanted." "Yes, but—" He stammered. She didn't mean financial. She meant emotional communication boundaries, healthy separation. I nearly laughed. Her message was very clear. I replied. She wanted no communication. She asked for professionals to handle everything, so I complied. But you cut off her accounts. She's an adult. She should manage her own finances. There was a long, uncomfortable silence. Then the lawyer said, "She can't afford to." "That's not my responsibility anymore," I replied softly. He exhaled sharply. "She is extremely distressed." "That's unfortunate," I said. But again, it was her choice. Then he lowered his voice as if afraid someone might overhear. "Mr. Dawson, she didn't know what she was doing. She expected the marriage to end quietly. She didn't foresee losing access to everything. She should have thought about that," I replied, before she ended everything with a text message. The lawyer swallowed audibly. "Sir, she is begging for a conversation. She wants to work this out privately." That was when everything inside me went still. Private. Now she wanted private? No audience. No friend coaching her dramatic exit. Now she wanted a real conversation. I took a slow breath. "Tell her I received her message, and I will respond." The lawyer hesitated. "Respond how?" I looked out the window, the sun cutting the blinds like sharp lines across my desk. "That," I said gently, "depends entirely on what she says next." Because 72 hours of silence taught me one thing. She wasn't expecting consequences. She wasn't expecting independence. She wasn't expecting reality. And now she would have to live with all three. The line clicked off. The lawyer's voice returned, thin and rushed. "Mr. Dawson, it's Klein. Sit down. We need to talk now." "I'm already seated," I said. "What's going on?" There was an unusually long pause. When he answered, his voice carried a strain I had never heard in a lawyer before. "She's asked for a private meeting. Not in public. Not through me. She wants to speak to you directly, respectfully, without cameras, without friends, just the two of you. She said she can't go forward with litigation and wants to try to explain." My jaw tightened. She wanted lawyers. I reminded him. She texted me about the divorce. She said no contact. "Yes," Klein said. "I know. I handled the wording at her request. But she changed her mind. There are mitigating circumstances, Mr. Dawson. She's emotional. She's frightened. And this is hard to say. She's pregnant." For a second, my mouth went dry. The room felt very small. My heart beat loud in my ears. "She's what?" I asked, too quiet. "Pregnant," Klein repeated. "And she begged me to call you. She said she couldn't do this to you or the child without a face-to-face. She wants to meet tomorrow morning. She'll come with counsel if you insist, but she begged for a private conversation first." I put a hand on the desk, letting the world assess itself in 1,000 small ways. The ticking of clock, the way the sun lined up across my reports, the hum of the city outside. My first selfish reaction was a rush of relief. Not from reconciliation, but from the removal of the stark finality that the text had delivered. Then there was another deeper feeling. Confusion. 100 memories and arguments flashed through my mind. Every word and omission cataloged. "Okay," I finally said. "Arrange it." Klein hesitated. "Are you sure?" I replied firmly. "I'm sure. I'll talk." That night, I couldn't sleep. I reflected on every time we joked about baby names, every grocery aisle where she insisted on organic brand. Every night, I came home to find her waiting on the couch with wine and a movie she picked because she knew I loved the ending. I thought about our last fight, the slow drift, and what a child would mean in that context. Morning came too quickly. The coffee tasted like nothing as I drove to the small cafe we chose, a neutral ground, quiet, with dim lighting that makes even tough moments feel softer. Klein was waiting at a corner table, as arranged. Across from him, the door opened, and she stepped inside. She looked small, her hair washed and styled with the same care she always had, a loose sweater covering where her belly might be. She looked nothing like the woman who had sent that angry text. She looked like someone who had just been told the world had fallen apart and was trying to piece it back together. When she saw me, her face filled with a mixture of apology and fear. She moved to the chair and sat down, her fingers twisting the edge of her sleeve. "Thank you for meeting me," she began, her voice low. I shouldn't have done that via text. It was cowardly. I let her speak. She continued in fits and starts, each sentence a small confession. "I've been lost." She glanced down, then met my eyes. I felt alone. I thought walking away would force us to face what was wrong. My counselor suggested boundaries. My friend said lawyers, so there'd be no soft lies. I thought stupidly that making it hard would make us honest. Her hands trembled. Then she whispered, I found out I'm pregnant. The world narrowed to the plastic cup in my hand. The cafe seemed to tilt slightly. The barista's steamer hissed. A spoon clinked, and someone laughed 2 tables away. A life, a small, impossible life, sat between us now like a mandate. Why didn't you tell me? I asked before I could stop myself. I was scared, she said plainly. Scared because I thought if I told you, you'd feel trapped. Scared because we've been so far apart. I wanted to know what I wanted first. I made a terrible call. I want to control the ending, and I thought lawyers would do that. I didn't think you'd cut me off financially before we even talked. Klein sat quietly, watching us measure each other. I know, she said, and I am asking for forgiveness, not as a mediation trick, but because I am terrified of being a single mother. I don't want to go through this alone. I don't want this child to be born into more conflict. If there's any way we can try counseling, support structure, I want to try. For the baby, for us. The irony hit me. She had tried to force honesty by cutting off communication. And then, when the truth she could not control, her pregnancy, arrived, she desperately wanted the very thing she had tried to avoid, a private, human conversation. She waited, her eyes open and raw. I thought about the late nights I'd listened to her small fears, the mornings I'd made eggs while she slept, the mortgage payments I'd absorbed, and the ways I covered the gaps while hoping love could bridge the silences. Klein, I said at last, start drawing up parameters. I will not be manipulated. Counseling? Yes. Medical support? Of course. But I need honesty. We go to counseling together. We agree on parenting plans first, not assumptions. And you don't move out impulsively. Not until we have a plan. She exhaled, a long note of relief. Okay, she said. Counseling, honesty, no impulsive moves. Klein nodded, pen poised. I'll draft a preliminary memorandum. Temporary support for immediate medical needs. Joint counseling sessions twice weekly and a review in 8 weeks. I turned to her, my voice softer than it had been in months. If this child is ours, we will co-parent. We will try, but I will not finance a life where I have no voice. She nodded, tears pooling in her eyes. We shook hands, not with legal pretenses, but with a human agreement. Outside, the city continued on. Inside the cafe, 2 people who had almost ended everything chose to begin with conditions. There was no guarantee this would last. There was no neat cinematic reconciliation. But there was something steadier than words on a screen. A plan that involved presence, not posts, truth, not texts. As I left, Klein slipped me a business card and a note. If she's your child, it's your choice what kind of father you want to be. I held that card in my palm, feeling that I had been given not only a choice but responsibility I hadn't expected, and perhaps didn't entirely dislike.